Alright guys, time for a new video. Today we're going to be looking at the PlayStation 1. And big confession, back in the day I did not own a PlayStation 1. I was a die-hard Nintendo fanboy and I went with the N64. And it was only after Final Fantasy VII and Dragon Warrior 7 got shipped over to the PlayStation that I really started kicking myself. So when 2001 hit, my senior year of high school, I went out and bought a PS2, and I've been a multi-console or multi-company guy ever since. This is actually my wife's, it's actually my father-in-law's PlayStation 1. I found it up in the attic, and he wasn't using it. He actually hated it. He was a big N64 fan too. And he's like, "Well, do you want it?" And I was like, "Yes." So I took it, and now I can finally play Final Fantasy Anthology, because the memory cards don't work with the PS2 for Final Fantasy Anthology. But anyway, so yeah, I missed out on an entire generation of RPGs. So when the PlayStation 2 hit, and you know, in those early years of the PS2, it was kind of a rough system. I played a lot of PS1 games that I missed. So let's go ahead and get this out of the way, and let's get right into the games, okay? First up, working designs. Arc the Lad Collection. Great, fantastic, amazing box set for 3 kind of okay strategy RPGs. I guess 4, if you count the Monster Hunter one in there. But beautiful box set, and you know, this was a real treat back in the day buying these working design games, because you get so much extra stuff in them, and I feel like now the only company that really treats people like this is Xseed. Because I mean, you get the other box sets for other games, but Xseed kind of brings you the weird games. Beyond the Beyond, which you know, watching a lot of videos like I do on YouTube, Johnny Millennium hates this game, and I look at the back of it, and I read somewhere it's made by Camelot, which makes the Golden Sun games. So I wanted to give this a shot. But looking at the back of that, like, look at the glare. Look at that screenshot right there. I mean, you know, you can find images of that online. But that looks exactly like the Golden Sun battle screen. Next we got Breath of Fire 3 and Breath of Fire 4. Like I said in my, well, if you watch these out of order, in my PlayStation 2 video, I usually play my series in order. And I'm going to be starting the Breath of Fire series on the Super Nintendo here soon. Which I played the Super Nintendo ones back in the day, but I never owned them. So now that I own them, we'll play through them and get them done. Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Quite possibly the best Castlevania game ever made, bar none. I honestly can't think of a Castlevania game that's better. Unfortunately, I have a greatest hits copy. Oh well. Chrono Cross. I love Chrono Trigger. It is one of my favorite games of all time. So when this came out, I was just super excited. Unfortunately, while this is a great game, don't get me wrong guys, no hate, this is a great game, it's not as good as Chrono Trigger. And, you know, going from Chrono Trigger to this, you know, I don't want Square Enix to touch Chrono. I want the Chrono series to be gone and done with, because they're just going to mess it up. Because, you know, from the jump from Chrono Trigger to this, and then from this to something else, it's just, I don't think I would even want to be a part of it. Series near and dear to my heart, Dragon Warrior. What? Dragon Warrior 7, not the best game in the series, but still, it's Dragon Warrior, Dragon Quest, whatever you want to call it. Fantastic, but it does feel a little redundant. You know, you travel to this island, you move it to the future, then you go to the island in the future and see how things are, and then you go on to the next island. It's just, it's not the best Dragon Warrior. Let's just put it that way. Okay, next up, we're going to be taking a look at the Final Fantasy series, which, let's get these ones. There's a lot of Final Fantasy games on the PlayStation, guys. Let's get these all out there. Now, everyone and their mother will tell you that this is supposed to be the greatest Final Fantasy ever made. I love Final Fantasy VII. I think it's got a great, you know, mythos with Sephiroth and Cloud and Zack and Aerith and all those people, but this is not the best Final Fantasy. It's not even as good as Final Fantasy IX. Final Fantasy IX is like so much better. And Final Fantasy IX is the best PlayStation RPG, or the best PlayStation Final Fantasy. 8, I actually really enjoyed 8 back in the day, but I can see why people don't like it, because, you know, this was kind of where things got, where Square started, you know, fucking with the games, messing with the systems. Like, this still felt like a Final Fantasy. This, not so much. This was refreshing and felt like a Final Fantasy again, and then from there on, it wasn't a Final Fantasy anymore. It was just like an RPG with Final Fantasy put on the title. But, don't get me wrong, I love Final Fantasy VII, but it's not the greatest. And that might be because it wasn't my first RPG. Most people, it's their first RPG. So next up, we got... how do I want to do this? Yeah, let's do it this way. We got Tactics. Then we got Anthology. Then we got Chronicles. And then we got Origins. So a lot of Final Fantasy. Tactics is a tactics strategy game, of course. This is actually a great deal if you have a PS1. I don't know if it works on PS3s. I don't know how that works. But this is 5 and 6. And 6, guys. That is the best Final Fantasy ever made. Bar none. Then you got 4, which most people consider to be, you know, the best. But 6. Chrono Trigger. And then 1 and 2. Which 2 on this is probably the worst Final Fantasy ever made. It's just a leveling up system. You have to hit each other to level up. Grandia, which, you know, this was... I mean, it's a little kiddish when you play through the storyline, but in some ways that's kind of refreshing for an RPG, I think. But it's got one of the best battle systems ever. Legend of the Dragoon. Haven't played it yet, but I'll get to it eventually. Legend of Mana. Gotta love the Mana series, although it's kind of, again, Squaresoft's kind of pushing it overboard. Now these are special to me. I do not have the complete box set, which I'm okay with. I'm alright with. But I do have the complete games, the maps in there, I have the soundtracks for both, and then I have the manuals. So really, I think all I'm missing is the big outer shell box, which I'm okay with, but honest to God, Lunar was amazing. And it is amazing. You can find this game on the PSP. Go buy it. Lunar 2, some people give it a bum rap. I actually really loved Lunar 2. I still think they're just both fantastic old school RPGs that really need to be, you know, given their moment in the sun. Megaman X4. What can you say? It's Mega Man X. Metal Gear Solid. The start of a huge series for well, it was just a Sony, but then it started to come out on the Xbox and stuff like that too, but it's still a huge kind of Sony series. Konami makes it though. Rayman, an excellent platformer, very pretty graphics. Resident Evil 1, the director's cut. Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3. Good, better, not so good. Resident Evil 2 is actually my second favorite Resident Evil, and it was the first Resident Evil I ever played on the N64. Which, that was a fantastic job that they did, dumping all that into the cartridge and not losing anything. But these are actually, you know, really good, guys. I think you can get them on the GameCube. They might be hard to find on the GameCube, but you should look them up. Riven, which I think holds the record right now for the most discs in a PS1 game, in my collection at least. Silent Hill, which, you know, if you've seen the movie, right here it is, but they changed the mother and father around. Star Ocean, the second story. Star Ocean, how I love you, but yet for some reason how I can never finish you. Can never finish a Star Ocean game. I really gotta do it. I don't know. Street Fighter Alpha 3. This is probably my favorite Street Fighter of them all. Yeah, I mean, this is the one. Whenever someone wants to play Street Fighter, this is it. I really liked 4, but I like that one better. Suikoden 1 and Suikoden 2. I recently just beat Suikoden 1, and I really like how it works. The storyline was, okay. It wasn't as epic. Like, I watched RPG Swagman, and he just went on and on about the Suikoden series. And the storyline in 1 wasn't as epic as I thought it was going to be, but I fully expect 2 just to knock it out of the ballpark. And we got Tales of Destiny. Love my Tales games. And Tomb Raider 1 and Tomb Raider Last Revelation. Now, the reason why I don't have a case for this is because this was actually in my father-in-law's PS1 when I found it, and we couldn't find the case anywhere, so that is, unfortunate, but, whatever. Tomb Raider. Then I have a loose Vagrant Story with just a printed label. This was a early, well, at the time, was it GameStop yet, or was it just Babbage's still? I don't know. But it was a used copy, disc only. I bought it back in the day. What are you gonna do? Then we got Wild Arms 1 and Wild Arms 2, which I'm currently playing Wild Arms 1, and I'm actually really kind of loving it. I like how the 3 characters start off on their own, and you can switch between them, and then eventually they meet up. So, I think that's going to be a good one. And then well, not finally, but Xenogears. Okay. This is, people revere this game for all the right reasons. It's just a pretty perfect RPG. It doesn't make sense all the time because it's supposed to be like episode 5 of 6, but I played this game and I loved it, and then I went and bought the Xenosaga series, and it wasn't as good as this, but the Xenosaga is still good. But Xenogears, I think you can get this on PSN now. Get it, guys. Just get it. And then lastly, I don't keep these in my collection because they're still sealed. And I don't know, I think I'm just going to keep them sealed because I really don't have any, I have too many games to play as it is, and I don't really have any desire to play either of them, but that's Medieval and Oddworld Abe's Exodus. So, probably just, as Finn Gamer would say, I'd probably just keep them sealed, keep the value up. So anyway, guys, that's the PS1 collection. I really do like the PS1. Let's get something down there. Look at that. Ooh. Actually, I wish systems would go back to this. I love these pop-top lids. It feels like they never break, and if they do, it's not that big of a deal. I hate trays on my systems. But the PS1 was, I'm very sorry I missed out on it when it first came out. But, alright guys, I'll see you next video. Take care.